The number one reason why your staff is leaving is because they don't have a clear path of growth to follow. Let's fix that. Hi, I'm Kayla Swanson, and I'm your host of the Profitable Salon Owner podcast. And hanging out with me today is Cindi Mausehund. What's up, Cindi? How are you?
Hi, Kayla. I'm doing great. How are you?
So good. I make it a priority of mine to get people's names right. And I've been around you for 3 years at least now. And I want to get it right. And then I know it in my head. I think it's because I just doubt it and I got to go say it. Anyway, Cindi Mausehund. How do you say it?
Mausehund. Yeah.
Nice.
You're
Thank
doing
you.
Good. You did good.
I love it. Anyway, hello. Thank you for joining us today's podcast. I am stoked to talk today with you listening and with you, Cindi, we are talking about your team and driving results and how to support them and problems coming up. Cindi, you've had a lot of experience leading your team and being, you've worked with your salon for 25 years. You just celebrated 25 years and owning it and being a part of it. And so you've had a lot of history and experience in leading people and picking up on, people's pain points and what people's struggles are and trying to drive results and pull numbers and all that stuff. So we're diving into this podcast, the main thing that we're going to talk about is how to support your team in pulling their numbers, in driving results, in setting goals for themselves to give them a clear path to follow. Because like I said, when we started this, the number one reason why people are leaving, Cindi and I were talking about the statistics right before this, is because they don't have a clear path, a clear growth path. Cindi, tell me the statistic that you just told me before this of how long do staff stay or do service providers stay in the salon?
So they stay 2.8 years. And
not a long time.
Yeah, that was like shooting a dagger through my heart, really, truly. That is not a long time at all.
No, it's really not. If you think about it, you've worked there for 25 years. It's like, that's a lot of people to go through, especially if you're hiring every couple of months. That's a lot of turnover. Like over time, it's just like, then the turnover is just consistent. Have you guys seen a lot of turnover in the last 25 years?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Last time I had Cindi on the podcast, we talked about her big walkout and how they recovered from it and how they set procedures in place. If you didn't catch that episode, go catch that. That was really good. So yeah, in that spirit of having a lot of turnover, what has been some big things that kind of stopped you guys in your tracks that realized we got to do something different?
Well, I think just the fear and the anxiety wrapped around numbers and math.
Yeah.
It seems like when you have all these amazing, talented people that you surround yourself with at the salon, that they are creative. And when you bring up numbers, their eyes just start to glaze over. You can just see the anxiety and the stress and just come out in them. And it just, how can we make it be way less stressful for them to talk about their numbers? Because numbers really are your number one way to track growth and to track progress. But we don't want it to be painful.
No. You want it to be easy, clear cut, numbers they can actually utilize, numbers that they can measure, numbers that they can see and see how they can grow. Like if you want to buy a new car this year, then how much more money will you need to make in order to make that payment or to put that deposit down on a house? Like being able to tangibly see I just have to do this much more, take in this many more new clients or do this many more upgrades or sell this much more retail, and being able to there is so much to be said about looking at your numbers and writing them up on your one-on-ones with your team. And so when it comes to pulling your numbers and looking at those, we're really going to hone in on making that a process that your team as a whole are in on, that they're it's not a pain point for them, that they can understand what they are. And if that's not, like you were saying, Cindi, just now, that's not everybody's strength. In fact, most people, it's not. There's few select people out there that are yes, math, my thing, who also are in the beauty industry is what I mean. And so what we were finding is that it was really hard for people to pull their numbers because math was just a really big pain point, that they don't want to do the percentages. They don't want to figure it all out. So what did you guys instill in your salon to help solve this problem?
Well, I think, Kayla, I'm going to take a step back before I get there. You had made a really good point. That is, we usually try to find out, what are their dreams? What do they want? What do they want to accomplish? And you said a car, a house. That's kind of where a lot of our team is at right now. And, they have to have extra income or, to buy that house, to get that car, to, go on those trips. And so
Yeah.
we really try to find out what are their wants, what are their dreams, and then really try to simplify it. Okay, how can we get there? What do you need? What is this trip going to cost you? And put a
Yeah.
dollar value to it. And they're like,
Yeah.
okay. So then we really focus on like their service sales, their retail sales, and what do they need to bring in beyond what they are currently doing. So they need to know where they're at too. I mean, that's really where we start, and we pull those numbers for them. We give them their baseline so they know exactly where they are. And because you don't know where to go if you don't know where you're at, right?
Totally.
And so we post those numbers for them. We do not make them do math. We don't even make them run reports to try to find it, because we take somebody that's not their strength. So we take somebody that's really strong in that area, or that is really comfortable with our software and can get those numbers. And we really just focus on a few, the two that I mentioned, their guest count and their average ticket.
Yeah. Honing it out, making it simple, making it easy, making it clear. So when you take the time to identify what it is that drives them, that's like the heart and soul of helping your team grow. Because if you spend more of your energy trying to focus, instead of being like, you need to sell more retail and you need to get more sales, and you're hounding them to accomplish something, if you stop and think about it, that's like, you need to do this for me to grow my salon, and this is my business, and you work for me, so therefore accomplish these results for me, and everything feels for you. And if you get into their world and let them be a part of it and be like, how can I help you grow? How can I help you get what you are looking to achieve? It's like that reframe of how you approach your team is going to, in that if I give you one dose of like advice on that, is to reframe the way you look at your team and how you're supporting them. Are you, like Cindi was saying, like they're struggling with math? Like, is your team not pulling their numbers because they're struggling with math, or they're struggling, that's a pain point for them, or like they don't know how to figure it out, so they just don't do it? Like, if you don't think you can be successful in something, you will not do it, or you will procrastinate or delay it. And I love that concept right there, because it was a big reframe for me. I have a team, and just getting into their world. If one of them's struggling, I ask more questions. Then I tell them like, well, this is how you can solve your problem, helping them solve their own problems, which is helping them. Like they don't want to pull their own numbers, like you just said. And so, or not, they don't want to, but they were struggling with that. So you guys are, well, we're going to have one person who's really good at it, and they'll pull the numbers and they'll put them out into an accessible place that your team can go find them. And then they still are interacting with their numbers, but they don't have to do the math part, which I think is a really cool key component you said, Cindi, of like realizing where is the missing link? Why is, like, you want them to do something, pull their numbers, for example, and they're not doing it. Instead of just getting on them, be like, you got to do these things. And it's understanding, well, why? Why are they not doing it? Why are they not driving results? Where is this coming from? What patterns are you seeing? Is multiple people doing the same thing? Are you asking the questions to be more objective to the solutions, or just trying to be like, well, this is my solution, so here's what we're going to do, and making it more group function? Sorry, got big on a tangent there. But I just love, because it's been such a huge point for me of growth in myself as a leader as well. So Cindi, tell me about what you guys, so you said that you had somebody come in, or you have somebody who's good at it and enjoys it, and you're pulling the numbers. And so how has this started to affect your team? How has this started to make things function a lot better?
Well, they aren't stressing over the numbers. They're not stressing over the math. I feel like they have a lot less anxiety. Every single person that I have talked to on our team, it just, like I said earlier, there's a certain amount of anxiety and stress that comes when you start mentioning numbers. And it's the math. It really, really just is. And creative people, just, that isn't where they want to go. And not to put everybody in a box, like they're all the same. That isn't, the case. But we just found that if we can take one pain point and some stressors away from them, why not? And why try to force them to do something? Because nobody likes to be told what to do. Nobody wants that. We don't want that as leaders. And why would our team want that? So, if they can start seeing where they want to go and what that path looks like, because we have been able to show them that with their numbers, it's their actions that are going to start, changing or start doing something a little different to try to hit those numbers. Numbers are just the way you, keep track of that. your tracking
Yeah.
method,
Tracking.
not,
Yes.
it's really the actions that you're doing with your guests that are really going to get them the results. But
Right.
numbers allow you to be able to see that. It's a
Yeah, your
visual.
numbers just kind of tell the tale of what's happened,
Yes.
tell the tale of how is it going, or where can you improve, or where,
Yes.
as they fluctuate. Because all your service providers, they went to school to cut hair or to be an esthetician. They went to school to learn a craft. They didn't, honestly, some of them went to school to avoid having to do math and to avoid having to do the things, the more complicated versions. I mean, you as a salon owner listening, you're like, well, that's my life. You've had to figure out your payroll. You've had to figure out your, can't think of anything right now top of my mind, but you've had to do the things that you need to do, and you have a driving force because it's your salon and you see a vision and you want an outcome that you are driving for and you're passionate about it. But you hire people who come into your salon and they may not, hopefully they're bought into your mission. That's why you hire them. And so there can be layers of it. I enjoy this place. It's a good place for me. But not in an unselfish way. It's also, but just realize this as humanity is we want to belong somewhere. We want to be a part of something. We want to, in your success as the owner of the business, we also want to find success in ourselves as well, and find success and feel like we're getting somewhere in life, because there's a lot to process. There's a lot to think about, people buying big houses and multiple cars and the social media. And there's so much out there that tells us what we should and shouldn't have. They're up against a lot. And so they're like, well, at this salon, I'm not growing. I don't know where I'm going. Everything's really confusing. I don't even know what my numbers mean. And I'm just getting, and everybody else is flourishing. I'm not. And so being able to just think about that and realizing where everybody's kind of up against, and just that mindset tweak of getting into the world of your staff and your team and your service providers and, your sales desks and your front desks. We call them sales desks in the academy, but your front desk and all of those things, just being able to figure out what the pain points are and then how do you solve them together, not being like, oh, I see this is happening for you. Let me solve it and tell you the solution. This is what you're going to do. So Cindi, tell me about, as you guys are pulling the numbers, what do you guys do with those numbers? How do you guys then so then we talked about solving the problem, having somebody else who's good at math, and then they have these numbers, they bring them to you. Let's talk about that. How do you then use that information and knowing what they're striving for? How do you keep them motivated?
Are you ready to increase your retention and revenue and convert website traffic to clients? Then you're ready for Maya. Maya creates better business relationships by pairing the right clients with the right beauty professionals. Use promo code HPSA for your first 2 months free. Visit joinmaya.com to get started.
We're Forest, born on the salon floor and built for and by hair and beauty professionals like you. Forest is your marketing, your reporting, your reputation management. You need one easy-to-use system that does it all. Forest. Together, we grow.
Ready to transform your business and improve your salon's profitability? With Lonza's 3-in-1 technology and intermixable shades, your hair color inventory is streamlined with limitless creativity behind the chair. Click the link below to unveil the secret to salon success.
Well, thank you. That's a great question, Kayla. Because what we have kind of found out is a lot of times if somebody really wants something, they think that they have to change everything they're doing in order to accomplish it. And in actuality, it's probably just one little adjustment or one little tweak. Yeah. You said that word earlier, and that kind of made this jump into my head, that it's usually just something small that just needs to be just adjusted and dialed. Just the dial needs to be turned just a little bit. So for example, like an average ticket, what if you increase your average ticket, by $5? What does that look like then? So we can actually plug that into a calculator and have them see that visual, like this is what that would look like. Oh, wow, I could do that. That's literally just, one hair treatment, an add-on hair treatment, one that we have on special right now for $25, and then really dial that in, like, well, how many of those would you need to do in order to get that goal?
Yeah.
Oh, and really do that math for them, and then let them see what that would get to them and how much closer to their goal they would get.
Totally. Man, I love that. And even I love going back to that tweaking of your mindset and the perspective. And sometimes it's something simple. Sometimes it's just the tweak of realizing that it's possible, realizing that I only have to sell $25 upgrades, and this will get this amount of money in a month. And I see 200 people. That's not very many. And so thinking that it's possible. And then you're okay, I'm set on the path to do this. And then pretty soon 50% of your clients are leaving with upgrades because you just took a took a tweak and like, well, it's possible. And you honestly take the pressure off yourself. Like, well, I only need this many, so I'm going to ask them more, and giving them little nuggets of like, this is what you can say. This is what you can suggest, and be like, it is in your reach. You only have to you only have to raise your prices $5 a service or whatever it is. And realizing how that like plays out. And again, going back to that math, like that really is, I love that you brought this up of even realizing that sometimes even figuring out the math of all that can be a pain point for people and just kind of paralyzes them. And they're looking at, they're like, I don't know what this looks like, but then supporting them in that. And then that perspective of like, it's possible. Like you can make more money. I mean, we have people in the academy, like making 6 figures plus. We celebrate the stylists every July who are 6-figure stylists. And it's like, even knowing that it's possible, we've had other people be like, man, I didn't know that I could have that too. And then you brainstorm together. And so people knowing that they can get there, and you having the mindset of, as the salon owner, or if maybe you're the you lead the teams or you lead the people, being able to come alongside and support them and realizing what's possible. And even not only realize it's possible, but then here's a path and let me support you on the way to get there. And here's mile markers, and let it be an internal motivation that like, I want this for me. And you'll have setbacks, and you'll have months that you don't hit it, but then just getting back on there and being like, okay, well, what's the next step? So Cindi, what you were saying is, you draw the numbers, and then you have those little tweaks, and it's like, and then you suggest like, here's some, here's how you could word it. Here's how you can tack on an upgrade. Here's how you can make that money. And then how often do you guys follow up? What is your what is your system in terms of like, how long is your goals and how do you set those?
So they are tracking right now for 13 weeks.
Wow.
And so that would be this last quarter. And why 13 is if they actually increase by 17% each quarter in a year and a half, they would double their revenue. They would double their income. Sorry, not revenue. They would double their income.
Their take-home income.
And quarters seem to be what, 13 weeks is about a quarter, give or take. So that's why we chose that 13-week, because quarters are very easy in our business to, to measure. That's an easy number for 13. So,
Nice. That's really cool. And I love, again, going back to like, what's easy, what's tangible, what's reachable. Like 13 weeks is like, it's a good amount of time. So you can have some bad weeks in there, but it's also like, okay, now we can start fresh. Now let's go to the next quarter. Like, okay, we hit these numbers. We didn't hit these numbers. Okay, here's our action plan for next time, and coming alongside. And then you have something to look forward to. I mean, time goes by fast, and like pretty soon you blink and 13 weeks are over, and you're just like, man, we measure quarters too in all of our goals here. And it's like, okay, well, I'm driving for this number for this, so many months. If you're just like, okay, well, I'd like to just make more money, and then you're just setting off to work your day-to-day job, and you just have a goal of making more money, there's not as much driving force behind that. There's not like, you're not working towards something. You don't have an action plan. You're not sure how you're going to get there. How we build even here. I mean, I know we're not working in the salon, but I guess we look in the industry, but like, we will have like, okay, what does success, like, if here's your goals, define what it looks like to actually like achieve that. And then and then go backwards and be like, what are the steps to get there? Like, okay, well, I need to do this, or I need to do that, or figure out a way. And I will hope you hear this as you're listening to this podcast. This is something you have to customize for what works for you. Cindi and I can talk all day about options and thoughts and perspectives, but it really comes down to you changing your perspective as an owner to come alongside your team and support them in their pursuit of growth, in their pursuit of having a life that's better than when they got hired. Could you imagine even if they go to move on 5 years, 10 years, have a baby, decide to retire, whatever? Wouldn't you want them to leave your salon no matter how long they're there? Not that we want to talk about leaving, but hear me out here. Leave having a better life than when they walked in. What if that was a motivating factor of why you're hiring in the first place, to better the lives of of every single person who works there, if they're there for a year, 2.8 years, 10 years, 25 years in some people's cases? Like, build people. And again, if you focus on that, like, I just don't get so attached to people working there that you feel like, oh no, I just got to save you. I could do everything for you. I can't let you go. And I got to people please you. And I got to make sure that you're happy. And I can't like push you too hard, because then you'll run away. Like, having the perspective of, let me come alongside you. When you leave here, no matter when that is or why that is, you're going to be better than before you walked in. And then you continue to support them in that, and just take it a day at a time. And then they will, like, it'll unveil their path of growth. And you'll look back, like, I just hit my 3 years. I look back to myself 3 years ago, and I'm like, dang, man, I'm a different person, a completely different person, because I had leaders who invested in me and my growth. And in turn, your company will grow, your salon will grow. Man, I'm so passionate about this stuff. So thank you for all my tangents on this.
That's great. That's great. Well, and one thing that we realized is we've tried so many different, we've like tracked for a month. We've tracked for, and sometimes it's really hard when you're really focusing on a month. You can't always adjust and make that little tweak a month later. Like it's almost too long. So we just really started to hone in on like weekly. They need to know where they're at weekly, and we'll post those numbers so they can make adjustments as they go. But weekly, again, works for us. That doesn't mean that was what is going to work for everybody else. But that has made the difference, because then they can see, okay, well, that week wasn't as good. What could I adjust? We can have those conversations. How can we support you in that?
I love that.
What do you need from us? That type of thing to help you with that.
Let me repeat back what you said. You have 13-week overarching big dream goals. We want to be here in 13 weeks. And then you guys check in every single week to see how's it going, where you're at. Have you grown? Have you not? Have you gone down? And all of it's an okay emotion, but like you check in with them every week, so then you can support them along the journey, which I think is so beautiful, because sometimes, you get lost in it. You're like, man, this was a really bad week. Like, okay, that's fine. You have, there's a 13 weeks encompassing. Your goal is encompassing of all 13 weeks. You had a bad week and it's okay. I think one of the most magical things that somebody told me once is it's okay to have a bad day, because maybe it's just me, but like I was really stuck on like, shoot, I'm panicking right now. I feel unorganized. I can't get my stuff together. It's already 2:00 and I'm not even done half my stuff. And that would bring a lot of panic to me, instead of like, hey, it's okay to have a bad week. It's okay to have a bad day. And it's okay to have it go down and ebbs and flow. So I got a phone call. Okay. Turn that off. Let me reset. It's okay to have times, and it's going to ebb and flow. And I think even communicating that with your team, that is a part of the process. There will be really good times. You'll grow up. You may take a step back, but it's about how do you take your numbers and evaluate why, like the story. What's the story with the numbers? Like you have them in front of you. Okay, you're at 25% RTS and your pre-book is this percent, whatever it is. And like, what's the story that it's telling? And then be able to evaluate and even get them processing it. Like, thinking about what those numbers mean in terms of how it can continue to grow, which I think is so cool. Cindi, it's been really awesome. So is you guys like, because we also have had Holly. So Holly and Cindi co-own their salon together. Holly's been on the podcast a couple of times. And I just love the energy that both of you have and your passion for the team that you guys have and how to help them grow. And have Holly came on and we talked to, you guys have a set in place can't even think about it, when you guys hire people on like different paths based off of where they're at in life. And so like you guys are really intentional about supporting your team and having the life that they want within working within your walls, which I think is really, really cool. Tell me, what is some of the driving passion behind that and why you guys decided to pursue your team that way?
Well, I think that you learn so much when you've had walkouts. And we realize that not everybody is doing things for the same reason. Not everybody wants the same path or sees the same path. Everybody's at different stages in their life. And let's just get somebody to where they want to go. Help them reach their dreams. Like we said earlier, really it's about them. I mean, we'll reap the benefits of that as a business. I mean, that's, a gimme if everybody is happy. But if we make it about them, I mean, I tease our team all the time because we have, the three areas that we always say we look at is it good for our guest? Is it good for the salon? And is it good for the team? And I always say, but we really look at what's best for the team first, because you guys are the most important. Don't tell the guests that. We don't. I guess now I'm saying that to the public. Maybe I shouldn't be saying that right now.
We didn't necessarily say where your salon was, so I think we're good.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, but we really want it to be about that. And we also know that not everybody's is going to be at Metropolitan. Oops, I just did say our salon, but for 5 years, or 10 years, or 25 years. We get that and we understand that. But God, let's have the best life we possibly can while you're here. How's that?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny, we were making the joke about like, don't tell the clients if that's what you think, but when you invest in your team and it's like in a healthy way. Let me also say that if you were in there and you're like, well, I'm trying to make them happy. Like there's a difference between supporting your team and leading your team and people pleasing your team. Please do hear that if you're people pleasing your team and just doing whatever they want and letting them walk all over you and letting them decide everything, like that's a different energy. It's leading your team, driving their internal motivation, knowing, being a pillar of support and a grounding presence in their life as their leader to help them get the results that they need. And so it's not just like, but it's being mindful and asking questions. I mean, obviously you're not going to make choices that could crumble the business. Like you are taking considerations of other things, but in having that perspective, your clients will feel that. Your clients will feel the energy when they walk in. It'll be a better place to work. So it really is for the clients. When you take care of your team, they will walk in and they'll feel like, man, something's different here. Everybody's happy. Everybody enjoys being at work. How many times, if you're listening to that, well, you own the salons, but I guess the public's not really listening to this, but like people walk in and you can feel they're like the energy in here is weird. Those people are talking to each other. Something's going on over there. People are talking behind their back. Like all of that accumulates into the experience that your clients are having. And so if you're cultivating a culture inside your salon where people have each other's back, people are driving together, there's healthy competition. People aren't just be like, wow, your numbers are terrible and mine are so much better. Like there's not that. It's like we're growing together. It's a group effort in terms of supporting one another to get to the results that we want, because we all have lives that we're striving for. I love that. So Cindi, I always kind of love ending these podcasts with like, what mistakes have you made? Because I think we can learn a lot from each other's mistakes. And I think mistakes help us be better people, better owners, better leaders by learning from the mistakes that we made. So in talking about all these things, all the things you guys are implementing, what are some things that you really learned from that you could share with people listening? So maybe they're either in it, have experienced, or can avoid it.
Well, made all the mistakes, by the way, all of them, every one of them.
Hey, it takes somebody to be able to say something like that.
Yeah,
so that's good.
Yeah. But I really think probably the biggest thing is just finding out, like the thing that I wish I could have done differently with some of the people is, just really finding out what's important to them.
Yeah.
And how can we, what are their dreams? And we talked about that earlier, but how can we get them there? But not force, don't make it my way. There's so many different ways that you can get to a certain result or to a certain goal, that it needs to be like, okay, have them figure out what are the steps they want to take in order to get there. What are the things they think that they can do? Like ask the questions, don't tell.
Yeah.
Because it needs to be about them, not about me.
Yeah.
Not about what I want. It's about what they want. And they have the brilliance inside them. You just might have to ask a better or a different question in order to bring it out.
Love that. Asking more questions. Yep. And even like, your RTS is down. Why do you think that is? Or like, hey, like what, even asking them something like, what do you, in your mind, what would help you? Like, what are your hurdles in selling retail? Or what are your, like, asking them a question. I love what you just said about like, maybe it's asking a different question. You're like, I've asked all those questions and I'm not still getting the answers. Right. And sometimes it's in the way in which you're asking, the energy in which you're bringing, because they all say that communication, it's your like the words that you say are like 30% of communication. The other 70% is in your tone, your body language, and your presence. And so if you are struggling with your team to drive results or get anything or be like, I have tried this every which way, I want to challenge you to think about it and think about how are you doing it? And if it's not working, maybe it's you. Because sometimes the problem lies within us and we're trying to do it our way when we need to be open to the possibility that our way isn't working. So we need to change the way in which we're doing. In Cindi and Holly's case, sometimes it's a big walkout or it's a big thing, a big drama or something that happens and that it forces you. Like if you don't make the decision to change or to do something different or to alter how you're doing something, then life will force you to figure out to look inward and to do it for you. So if you are struggling in your salon right now and you're like, I don't know, my team is all over the place, I can't get any results, things like that, look inward. I know we've said this on the podcast so much, but I want you to hear it, is that sometimes it's us. Sometimes it's the way that we're leading. Sometimes it's the questions that we're asking. Sometimes it's the energy that we're bringing. How do you show up to work? How much are you driving? How is your own motivation? What do you want in life? What are you driving for? What what is helping you drive to get your own results, whatever you do at your salon, whether you work behind the chair or not, or whatever your role and responsibility is. Do you even know what you're working towards and what your vision is? Yeah, I want a successful salon, but do you know it specifically? Because when you also can open it for yourself and allow yourself to dream and allow yourself to challenge yourself for results, then it will help you navigate and be able to come alongside your team and be like, I'm alongside here with you. I'm trying to, like, this is what I'm working towards. I'm trying to get to Ireland. Ireland. My sister's coming back from Iceland. Ireland. Oh my goodness. Too many eyes. I want to get to Iceland. And that's a motivating factor. And my whole team knows it. They all know. And so I know when I buy those tickets, my whole team's going to celebrate with me because they know that that is what I'm working towards. So look inward, ask the questions. And if you need any support, as always, we've got your back. We have hundreds of salon owners who would love to tell you all the mistakes that they've made and come alongside you and help support in that and help you give framework and give questions and help show you the systems and processes like we've talked about today as Cindi and Holly are navigating their own salon and they're navigating the struggles that they've had, the problems that they had, the walkouts that they had, the change, the shifts that they've had in that experience of having something go wrong and fixing it or coming up with something better. There's so much to be learned in that and to be able to be shared. And that is the essence of who we are as an academy. So if you want support and if you want to have more questions to follow up to this podcast, please reach out. There'll be a number in the description. You can ask us anything. We'd love to support you in any way that we can. Cindi, this has been beautiful. Thank you for taking the time with me, jumping on a topic that I'm so passionate about as well. I always love these. And anything else that you want to share before we wrap up?
Well, I just think always going in with that intention. You really hit on that. What is your intention when you have a conversation, when you show up to work, when you have to maybe talk to somebody about something that isn't as positive as you would like it to be. But if you're going into with the intention to scold them, it's going to show. If you're going in with an intention to try to work through this and get across on the other side and make it all a better place to be, then that's going to show also. So thank you so much for having me, Kayla. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you for sharing your struggles and sharing your learns so that we can all learn alongside you. I really appreciate it. Nice. All right. We'll see you next time. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll catch you next time on the Profitable Salon Owner podcast.
You've been listening to the Profitable Salon Owner podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave us a review, and check us out at profitablesalon.com for more episodes, content, and to help you turn your salon into the business you've always dreamt of.